I never meant anything I said, just spitting up everything I've been fed to keep it from eating away at me. Never said anything I meant. I never sent the letters that I should have sent, so it's asking too much for you all to believe. When I say never meant nobody no harm, when I say never was a cause for alarm, never knew what I was talking about anyway.
Welcome back to Lady Babylon Wednesday night Bible study. Tonight, we're going to be looking at Mycenaean drug users. This is fantastic. We've just been bombarded. We're being bombarded by all this good evidence, all this hardcore archaeology. Oh, God, throw some science in there. Whew. Next thing you know, HPLC. Oh, God, we're getting the samples tonight. We're going to look at a couple of things about Bronze Age drug users. And we're going to look at a very frustrated person through time. And we're going to watch the world develop a sense from that evidence, despite his greatest, highest, loudest voice. We're going to have a little clip tonight. Gorgeous little clip, a chance for us to hear some of the music of Zane Campbell. Definitely demon possessed. Definitely. No doubt. Certifiably. Love it. And then we're going to talk about some current events in archaeology and a little bit of pharmacology. We're going to start off with a little bit of Medea so you can see who she is. I hope you were not too disappointed that Neil has become a little bit not feeling so well and won't be able to make it tonight. We thank him for putting out the effort. Appreciate that, Neil. Hope you feel better. So tonight, whereas I was thinking about a conversation between me and Neil, it's going to end up having to be a conversation between me and an invisible devil. So I want to start out with a couple of quotes. I'm going to take you. We're going to get in the ship. We're going to go back in time. We're going to land somewhere 1200, 1100 BC, talking near the end of the Bronze Age. We're going to talk about one of these drug users. Chewy, hit the first slide with I just want to read this to you. This is from the Orphic Argonautica. We start at the end here. At one of the gateposts, there stood a statue of the far-seeing queen, scattering with her motion the radiance of fire, whom the Colchians propitiate as Artemis of the gate, resounding with the chase, terrible for men to see and terrible to hear, unless one approaches the sacred rites and purification, the rites kept hidden by the priestess who was initiated, Medea, unfortunate in marriage, along with the girls of Citta. No mortal, whether native or stranger, entered that way, crossing over that threshold, for the terrible goddess kept them away by all means, breathing madness into her fire-eyed dogs. I want you to make sure that you're getting an impression of the time. Remember, we're talking about priestesses here, and we're talking about a Medea who's the queen, right? And she is the one who is exercised in the rite. Only she can do it, right? Her Citian maids are these exceptionally skilled workers in drugs, Scythian archeresses. Yeah, from across the way on the Black Sea. And these are very skilled, talented people. I wanted you to see that. I wanted you to see that she is named as that person. You can't approach this divinity, Artemis. You can't approach her unless you go by the way of the rites. Yeah, by the way of the rites. Now, I have been screaming at people about drug use in the Bronze Age. And we've all been sitting here for the last 4 or 5 months, and we have seen that there was drug use. Yes, there was drug use, not just in antiquity, classical antiquity, but preceding that considerably. Yeah, drug use. And people tend not to pay attention. Well, now they're paying attention. And now we want to know. And it's funny to watch them. You can watch the evolution of the scholars here as they go through the machinations of trying to set their mind outside of the paradigm that they thought was reality. And now they have to go into another. So good for them. Good for them. It's a great experience. Thank you guys for doing those, that HPLC and whatnot. Yeah, fantastic. Second quote by Medea. I just want you to see, or about Medea, I just want you to see. The dream quickly struck terrible fear in the heart of the king. He seemed to see on the lovely bosom of the young maiden Medea, whom he was raising in his halls, a glistening star darting across its heavenly path, which she, having taken it up on her robe, brought to water of the fair flowing Phasis. He saw the star seize the maiden and carry her across the Black Sea. This is the vision of Etes, and that was more of the Orphic Argonautica. And this vision is preserved in multiple sources. And so we ask ourselves in the first quote from the Argonautica, who are the dogs? You can't get in to see the secret unless you get by the dogs, but she gives those dogs maddening poison, right? She gives them maddening poison. Remember that, maddening poison. Remember that we're talking about the Eoboloi, the hurlers of the poison. This is Artemis Eochaira. This is Artemis who pours out the poison, who pours out the communion venom. This is her. And you can't get there. You can't even get across the threshold, right? Unless you've been through the mystery, you cannot get there. They call these the Echidnae, because they are priestesses who have been using the formula, who have been using the toxins to alter themselves, right? They're the Medusae. Now, I wanted you to see a little bit more of Medea and what's going on. Maybe you have a little more respect for the knowledge, because now the brighties, the scholars are they're always right there. I love it. You guys, you do a tremendously mediocre and sometimes late job, and sometimes even damaging, by giving us garbage. We don't want any garbage theories. We just want the evidence, right? And everybody knows the evidence now says, from the hair samples that we've got, that the Bronze Age was full of drug use. Yes, that there are drugs in people, hallucinogens, and not necessarily the hallucinogens that you want to go out and see a concert with, right? So yeah, this is serious stuff. Let's take a look at it. Before we do, I want to watch a little clip just to, number one, to do two things. Number one, to remind you that we've been talking about these people using drugs for the last 6 months. And number two, to set your mind in that place where you can say, okay, how are these scholars looking at this evidence? What are they doing with it? Yeah, love it. Let's hit the clip, please.
What a mess I made
I guess I gotta blame myself. Oh, I could blame it on her, or on him, or on them, but in the end, I made my own little hell. And they wonder why I turn to the wine. I turn to the wine every time I get lonely. I turn to the wine every time that I do. I turn to the wine, and the wine turns on me again, and the blues turn a darker blue.
I hope that set the mood a little bit there, because we're going to be talking about how we got there. So this, as you know, this story is blowing up, right? This story is blowing up. It's all everywhere, from the New York Times, it's all over journals. Let's splash some of these up here. You guys have seen this. You guys have seen this. Here we go. Here's Ceylon. Bronze Age Europeans were getting high on all kinds of drugs. Hair analysis study finds. Wow, it's fantastic. How about another one? Here's one from CNN. My goodness, look at that. That's central. 3,000-year-old hairs hold the oldest clues about psychoactive drug use in Europe. Fantastic. Here's one from the Greek Reporter. Scientists discover evidence of drug use during Bronze Age rituals. Okay, it's getting deeper, right? We're getting in there. Tripping in the Bronze Age, says the New York Times, right? Right, love it. We're going to look at a couple of these in depth. This one I think is gross. I don't know why, but that, whatever that is, I know it's, no offense to the Bronze Age dude or dudette who was wearing that, but I don't know. It makes my stomach turn a little bit. Direct evidence of ancient Bronze Age drug use found in Menorca, right? So this is all off that Spanish island find that they've got with the hair and what they're looking at it. And I just wanted you to see a couple of quotes, right? Direct evidence of the use of multiple drugs in Bronze Age Menorca. From human hair analysis. Beautiful, beautiful. Archaeology, evidence of drug use during Bronze Age ceremonies. Bronze Age ceremonies, they say, right? Bronze Age ceremonies. Okay. Let's keep going. Here's a direct quote. The findings published Thursday in Scientific Reports of the journal Nature, great journal, provide the first direct evidence that ancient Europeans consumed psychoactive drugs, much like their pre-Columbian brethren in Mesoamerica, the researchers said. Wait a minute. Did he say brethren? What was that? I need that quote back. Here. There we go. Yeah, brethren. Okay, they weren't really brothers, right? I don't know where, they're not even closely related, right? But okay, who knows? That's a nice ambiance he's trying to create there, right? Yeah, this is, he says, the first direct evidence that ancient Europeans. Now, when he's saying ancient Europeans, he's talking Bronze Age, right? And this is my frustration. If the classicists were on the ball, and I'll just throw it out there, this is not the first evidence that we have of ancient drug use. Several of these articles say that. We finally have evidence for ancient drug use. Take a step back, Poindexter. Put down that slide rule. Put it down. Put it down. The words that you're using to describe all of these drugs, they're already talking about in detail. And we'll see this is right. Apparently, this is maze. Here's the problem. Classicists don't like to go there because classes, and you can ask anybody, ask them all, ask Bart Ehrman, right? Because people watch him here, not because he's a classicist. He's not a classicist, but ask Carl Rock, right? This is This stuff has been sitting in this literature for a ton of time and nobody reads it. Thousands of pages on drugs. I can even tell you what was on that hair. Yeah, I'm going to show you. The benefit of coming tonight was that you get to be one step ahead of the rest of the world. One step, just one. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, here's the main doc who's ahead of it, right? Guerra dos. I'm not quite sure. I'm sorry, Alyssa, if I've mispronounced your name. The lead author of the study said researchers were stunned by the results. Now wait a minute. Don't be stunned, guys. Just wait. Especially because the cave interiors yielded no detectable signs of drugs presence. Right. So, okay. Well, they had it in their hair, but not in their pockets. Okay, fine. A chemical analysis of the hair revealed evidence of 3 alkaloid substances. What are those alkaloids? Those are those nitrogenous substances that have some kind of physiological activity. Yeah, in the human body, they can be antifungal, they can be painkillers. You're not going to get to chase the dragon without alkaloids, right? Alkaloids, nice family of chemicals. Yeah, known to produce altered states of consciousness. What they find? Ephedrine, atropine, and scopolamine. And for those of you who are, just somewhere on the periphery of neuroscience, you might be a neuroscientist, or you might be somebody, molecular biologist, maybe a chemist, maybe an engineer, right? And you might be familiar with some of this terminology. That these substances are not lightweights, right? Atropine and scopolamine. That will put you into a vision state that the Magi used to torture people to get information out of them, right? Yeah, that's what these people had in their hair. That's what they had in their hair. And they say, we're stymied. We're surprised at this. I don't know why they're surprised. Yeah, especially when the Greeks are documenting all of this. And you say to yourself, oh, give us the evidence. We're hungry. I want that evidence. I want your evidence. Give me that evidence. I'll give you my evidence. Just all you got to do is go back to Homer. I was talking with Neil today, and Neil said he interviewed a PhD, and the PhD got his PhD in New Testament studies, right? And then he went back and got a master's degree in classics, and he said he didn't realize how full of nothing was the Bible studies degree. Isn't that funny? Because he went back and got a classics degree. They brought him up to the evidence, and I know you're hungry for that. My audience is hungry for that evidence. Give me the evidence. I want that evidence. I got Homer. Let's call up Homer, right? And you're saying, wait a minute. Okay, where are we? Don't worry. It's 9th, 8th century, right? BC. 9th or 8th century. Yeah. We're only a couple of centuries away from that ending of that Bronze Age, right? We're talking about the same generations. Homer is hearkening back to this Bronze Age. Oh, and he is saying in it, they're on drugs. What do you mean this is the first evidence we've ever had? What are you talking about? Go to the text. Oh my God. You can't have a party in the Bronze Age without getting there on drugs. And that's what the scholars are so worried about. They're trying to make sure. I'm going to show you in these quotes. They want you to know. This is not for fun. This is not for fun. No. I want to take you out back. I got a place for you out back. Come on. Let's go. It's okay. Services are over. All right. Come on. We got to take off the uniforms anyway. You know what I mean? They want to take you out back, right? Homer is talking about the drugs, right? You have a giant party where you have people over. You douse them in drugs wine, drug-laced wine that, that gets them so bent that he says you could kill their mother or father in front of them and they wouldn't care. Now, Vice News, thanks for the bit on the scorpion smoking. Hey, get out there and look at that if you guys haven't seen that. The place that that takes you, right, is a place that they're going backwards, back and forth to, right, to enter these places where you can interact with the powers that be. Real sorcery, real sorcery. Yeah, I love it. Let's keep going. I gotta. Which one am I on, Chewy? This one. Okay, the author suggests that in the presence of these alkaloids may have been due to consumption of some nightshade plants, such as mandrake. Okay, now look, I want you to notice as we're reading these are all of the suspects, the usual suspects, right? You could look in any Inquisition documentation at all. You can look up any Inquisition documentation. You can watch the trials. You can see what kind of testimony you get out of them. This is the thing. These are the drugs, the standard list of drugs. They are always catching the witches with. Always catching them with. What do we get here? Mandrake, right? They also use mandrake, by the way, in surgery in antiquity. Yeah, cool, huh? Henbane, right? Hyoscyamus. That's what they call it in Greek. That's a Greek name. Hey, for all you people who are surprised, all of you scholars, I know, I give you credit. You guys are out there digging in the dirt and you're getting the evidence. Hoo-ah, right? I love that. But look here. The Greek name for the drug you found, right, is sitting right in front of our faces. Hyoscyamus, right? That's all you got to know. Did they know about these drugs? Yeah. Did they use them? Of course they did. And they wrote a ton about using them that nobody. Shame on the classics out there. One more time. As a Ronin, I want to say this. If today is my last, I want the world to know that the people in classics have let you down, that they are dogs, that they are not the guardians of those sacred words, that they have lost their right to call themselves defenders of the muse. Shame on you people. There's literally thousands of this stuff that remains untranslated because, like my dissertation, the head of my department told me when I was giving my dissertation, she said, the Romans, they just wouldn't do such a thing. I was like, are we talking about the same people? Are we talking about the same people? Have you seen what the Romans do? Yeah. Okay, let's keep going because I want to get to Jesus. I want to get to stabbing Jesus. We're going to get there. This one, yeah, here we go. Hang on. No, I want to read this one. Henbane and thornapple, right? What else? Joint pine. The author suggests that these drug plants may have been used as part of ritual ceremonies performed by a shaman, right? Notice they all run to that, right? Now we're getting outside the evidence, right? And what do they use for evidence? The concentric circles in the wooden containers may have depicted eyes. Okay, personally, people, that's in my scientific opinion, having worked in a lab myself, that doesn't hold up. Come on, guys. You can do better. That's the best you scholars can do. I'm sure there are people right now who are writing a book, probably for Rutledge. And I'll bet you can look at all these pots and they'll say, this is the psychedelic experience. No, you can't make conclusions like that. That is not how you use evidence. I wouldn't hold up in a court. You think they would convict someone on a murder charge based on the big googly eyes and the pots? Yeah, you people grow up. Why don't you just read your text? Why don't you just read what the people that came after them said to do with the drugs? I don't know. Maybe that's an idea. Helen is putting drugs in the wine. Circe is drugging men. She's got the dildo rod. She is drugging men, man. This is an operation. This is big stuff. These are crazy poisons, right? Love it. This stuff will get you going. And people are shocked. Oh, we found hair. We found Bronze Age hair. And in this hair, we found drugs. Do you know how frustrating it is? Step back for a minute. Step back for a minute. You know, I have been shouting to the world, right? I've been shouting to the world. Carl Rock has been shouting to the world his whole career, right? And people look at you funny. Now you've got hair, you morons. Now you've got hair, and now you see it's there. Yeah, finally. Bunch of you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to know what the Caesars were doing. You don't deserve in the cult. You despicable Athenian women weren't staying indoors all the time. Shame on you. Shame on you. You pretend to write a book. It's disgusting. Open up the pharmaceutical stuff. Let's see where it goes. You'll have to forgive me. I have a clear distaste for academia, but I was known for that as a graduate student too, and I would always bring they were like, oh, Hillman's here. He's going to bring up something that nobody knows. Read the text, people. It's all there. Let's keep going. This is exciting. The researchers noted that due to the dangerous nature of the alkaloids found in the hair, using and handling these substances required specialized knowledge and expertise. What a bunch of geniuses you guys are. Yeah. Congratulations. Congratulations. If you'd read the documents, they talk about what specialists you have to have just to procure these drugs, much less to make the compounds and what to do with them. Yeah, some of this stuff is great. This is and remember, Bronze Age is the glory time. That's when these big cities are getting built. That's when what you and I call civilization, that's when it's thriving. It's only afterwards with the Dark Age. They don't know what happened. It's an island blew up and people invaded and, famine, all that kind of stuff. They don't know what caused that. But we went backwards. We know that the people that were associated, just think on this for a minute, the people that were associated with the advancements were the ones who were actively performing the mystery whereby they were exposed to the drugs. Yeah, love it. Let's go on. Next quote. Where are we? Chewy, get us here. Good. Drug use among humans is a practice known to be thousands of years old based on clues that were previously uncovered in Eurasia and the Americas. But in Europe, the presence of mind-altering plants at prehistoric sites offered archaeologists an incomplete picture until now. They lacked evidence that people in ancient communities ingested the plants. Oh, by the way, they didn't ingest them all, right? There's a lot of, where they eat this stuff. Medea invented the vapor bath, they call it. The vapor bath. And you ask yourself, what's a vapor bath? Remember, she's surrounded by Scythian women. And these women bathe themselves, as our texts tell us, Herodotus, with the fumigation. Right? And they have like oils they put on their skin made out of woods. Very nice. Great descriptions of this stuff. Beautiful, beautiful. So there's some real chemistry right there from the beginning with all of this. Bring that up again. Yeah. But with these new findings, we're presenting the earliest evidence of drug consumption, right? So Medea invents the vapor bath, which you would think is like a steam bath, but is just the exposure to the smoke of something. Yeah, isn't that neat? It's like a fumigation. It later is called a fumigation, right? Yeah, nice. And so apparently she's the one who invented this. We have that attributed to her. Isn't that nice? So you can when you enter into the tabernacle. I had one person tell me this week, stop, my worldview shatters and I don't want to keep going down this path, right? When you got that person who steps into the tent, the curtains that hold in all that vapor, and they're talking to God, right? This is pre-Moses, right? We're talking Moses is coming from these traditions. They're talking about Mycenaean stuff. They're talking about 1600. Moses was later, right? That's why he's throwing around his serpent, right? People think of Charlton Heston, and that people watched Easter and they saw the guy with the big beard and the da-da-da and hold him up. Yeah, they don't realize that that dude was throwing snakes around, right? He's performing magic, bro. Yeah, he built a tent, and you can go inside that tent and you can talk to God. You will hear the voice of God. Don't worry, we're going to tie a rope to your leg, because if you pass out, we'll drag you out. Right? That's vapor, dude. This is Bronze Age technology that let's go to the next quote, that they're harnessing here. These findings are so singular, said the doc in charge, right? Sometimes when people think about drugs, they think it's a modern practice. These results tell us a different story. There's also those of us who, when they hear about drugs, know it's a modern practice. No, it's an ancient practice as well as a modern one. So it doesn't bother us. We wouldn't be surprised. According to the study, the flora native to Minorca includes the psychoactive species Datura, Hyoscyamus, and Mandragora, right, which contain the tropane derivatives, atropine and scopolamine. Also on the island is ephedra, which contains the phenylethylamine derivative, ephedrine, and papaver somniferum. Yay for the opium. That's the opium. This is quite a cocktail we're ending up with here, isn't it? This is wonderful. Which has its own alkaloids, right? Morphine, which we all know, right? Everybody, big hand for morphine. Long history. Yeah, it turns out your ancestors were shipping opium all over the world long time ago, way before they invented democracy, way before they did. You know, killing pain is killing pain, bro. The Bronze Age populations of Minorca may have employed drug plants for their medicinal properties. Thanks, genius. However, the high levels of toxicity found in the hair samples suggest that plant drugs were also used for the hallucinogenic properties in shamanic ceremonies, right? So in shamanic ceremonies, guess. Was that written in the cave? That wasn't written in the cave. All you found is some people with drugs. Considering the potential toxicity of the alkaloids found in the hair, their handling, use, and applications represent highly specialized knowledge, the authors report. Yeah, I wonder where they passed that on to. Yeah. Going back to the shamans. What is wrong with you people? Don't you know that when people think of shaman, do you know what they think of? Yeah. They don't think of the queen of Colchis who created the Medes, right? They don't know. Shaman. She wasn't a shaman. She was a witch queen, you moron, who knew the mystery. Yeah. Who dispensed the poison of the echidna. Love it. From her dark harbor. You get that one, you classicist. Ooh, did that fracture your brain? Dark harbor is your vagina when it's covered with the burning purple. Yeah. Did we get censored on that or something? Chewy, hang on, Chewy. Did we just hit an asteroid or something? What was that? Wow. Okay, I gotta. Oh, are we? We're overheating. Hang on, it's too much. I start talking about the pudenda. We'll say it politely and scientifically. Pudenda, the Pudenda Phoeniciana, the purple harbor. That's where all sailors go. The ones who sail into the Ion. That's where they go. Okay, let's keep going. These people are getting creepy. Plants like henbane and belladonna produce atropine and scopolamine, but the plant that these Bronze Age people were most likely eating was thorn apple, also known as Jimson weed. It has distinct spiky seed pods and muted lavender flowers. Okay, nice. But what does it do? Look, reportedly some potent, often nightmarish trips. That's where you want to get. When you get here, some of these reports talk about what's the use of these? It's got to be sacred. One of the authors said, it's not the profane, it's the sacred, right? And you're asking yourself, why are they so crazy about the fact that this can't be some people in the Bronze Age kicking back and getting recreationally super high, going to a religious performance that their family goes to, that their grandparents had been to. That's why the people wear the dye in their hair, man. It's just part of the society, right? It's part of our medicine. So what is wrong with you people? What is wrong? The modern Iron Age, poop. It's poop. Where's the next one? Right here? Here we go. I got an alarm going off. Sure, you better find out what that is. The recovery of human hair in the late Bronze Age burial cave provides a unique opportunity to further probe into the medicinal and ritual realms of indigenous inhabitants of Western Mediterranean as early as 3,000 years ago. The results furnish direct evidence of the consumption of plant drugs. Okay. So yeah, we know that they took drugs now. Here, we're going to skip over that, and we're going to go to recent analysis of hair. Watch this. There's one really good scientific article on this one, right? In Nature, and it's a fantastic article, and it goes over methods, right? Analysis. You can get all the chemistry for those of you geeks who are HPLC people and know what that means. Mass spectrometers and all that kind of stuff, equipment that we need. If that stuff turns you on, then take a look at the one in Nature. But here's a funny reference to that. Recent analysis of hair of patients suffering from datura poisoning revealed atropine and scopolamine in a patient who admitted regular consumption of datura, and only scopolamine in a regular cannabis abuser. Wait a minute. A regular. Is this thing scientific? Do you people see what happens? As soon as you get into this world of the recreation, as soon as you get into this world of the high, all of a sudden it's not acceptable, right? The cannabis abuser. How many people? You can't abuse cannabis. That scientist needs to find out that you can't abuse cannabis. You can't. You learn to make love, not war, right? Right. They should have said the lover of cannabis in that article. We found this lover of cannabis, and he had what's the point, Poindexter? The point is that he had the scopolamine and atropine, right? Or he didn't have the atropine, but he did have the scopolamine. So these chemicals are being liberated and used. That's what the point is. Fantastic. And they are terrible hallucinogens. You can put somebody into a state of complete, total psychosis. And now you understand why we've been talking about all these caves. The devil's giving me a little bit more time tonight, right? These caves and why they're going into the caves, right? It's where they found this stuff, is in a cave, right? So there's got to be that's why they try to bring in the shaman, just dirty. He probably smells bad. I bet the shaman's underwear are dirty. How much you want to bet? This one, fantastic. But the dire, I want to read you. I wanted to get into a little bit of we're talking now about Bronze Age drugs, right? One of the areas that people don't talk about are the venoms. They come up all the time on the witch side. They come up on the midwifery side. They come up on the oracular side. You got oracular priests who are writing about, oh God, this is great combination of X, Y, and Z, and you put this in and bam, right? This stuff is great literature. There's more on theriacs. As a matter of fact, I'm going to scare you a little bit. I hope I do. I was reading just this week in a place that hasn't been translated from Galen. He's writing about theriacs. And he says there is a theriac that is peculiar or particular to the house of the Caesars. Yeah, it is their family Mystery communion. Yeah. Do you know who Julius Caesar put a portrait of in the temple of Venus Genetrix? And for those of you who are not in the know with Rome, I'm sorry, I don't mean to point. That's rude. But for those of you who are not in the know with Rome, Venus Genetrix is our mother. Excuse me while I put my bracelet on. Venus Genetrix is our mother, right? If you're a Roman, you know you're a descendant of Venus Genetrix. Who does Julius Caesar get a portrait of and set it up in the temple of Venus Genetrix? He gets a portrait of Medea. He gets a portrait of Medea because the Echidnae know. Yeah, I've seen things. And I keep screaming about them. I don't scream about them. I just wrote papers and went to conferences and wrote a book, a couple of books. And now people are seeing that the stuff is there. Let's take the next step. I was going to show you some text, but I think we've gone beyond. Let us be satisfied in this world where the drugs are used in medicine and in health and are a big part of the development of the religious attitude of the people. Yeah, these drugs have a tremendous, tremendous influence on society. And the mystery, as started by and perpetuated through the Colchians, eventually all the way through the Etruscans, right? How do we know? How do we know? This is what they're going to be finding out in the future, right? I told you I would do this, okay? So they talk about the hair dye. We've got this red hair dye, right? Yeah, here we go. This is the ferric oxide, right? Ferric oxide, and where do you find this stuff? You find this stuff in the Limnian earth. You find it in what they called Limnian earth. Galen went to Limnos to find this stuff because he claimed that it could heal breast tumors in women. Now, he said other things about it, but that was one of the things that caught me as a grad student. I was like, what? Yeah. And it's something special. I gave a paper on this, and people speculated about what it could have been in the Limnian earth. Well, this stuff is also a base for a dye, right? It's a base for a coloring agent. You can make paint with it, right? And what they would do is they would put it, for example, today I was reading a priest named Nicander who said, look, if you're out and you get bit and you don't have your coating on, it's your fault, right? Your dermal coating. There are paints that you can put on that will deactivate poisons. Yeah, very practical if you think about it. Yeah, you can see people developing that. That makes perfect sense. Just like that stuff the Medusae, the temple guardians, put in their hair, right? That they drag their arrows across, and then their arrows are poisonous. Same kind of approach. It's a very naturalistic approach. It's why the world monotheism, when it encounters that world, is on shaky ground. It's not flexible enough to absorb that nature, that pure exercise of nature, right? Stop what you're doing. And that's where we get the Frankenstein. Well, it turns out that this substance, right? I'm going to pull up this in Greek for you. It's called miltos. Miltos, red earth, right? Red ochre. I guess on the Brit side, they call it ruddle. Ruddle, right? It's this red lead or this oxide, right? And notice that it's from Limnia. Look at Roman numeral number 2 here in this Victorian classical philology paradise island. Eurusibe. Eurusibe. What is Eurusibe? Oh, wait a minute. That's the rust that grows on the wheat. And hence, it is a title that we give to Demeter. A title, an epithet for her is this rust that grows on wheat. And so right away, I know the neuroscientists out there, right? I'm thinking of one in particular, but I'll pretend like I'm speaking to a group of them. You all know now that, oh, okay, there could be a connection with the ergot and the LSD because it's that rust, that wheat rust. It's a fungus that produces the right stuff. You can paint that stuff on your skin as well as put it into a barley meal drink, right? If your barley's rusted, right? You can put it into a drink as well, or you can put it on your skin. The Etruscans like to put it on their skin. You ever seen Etruscans? They have like red skin. And you're like, what's that? Right? It's not because their colors were messed up, right? It's not because we don't understand. Do you see how bright red that stuff is? There's no way, right? What is that? That's artificial. Yeah, no, it turns out it is. And we have descriptions of applying these things to your skin, and the dyes are huge. The dyes are huge. They called Hercules porphyrian, right? Because of the purple dye that he's marked with. And where is he getting that? He's getting it in the mystery, and the only one allowed in the Herculean mystery, who is a female, the only one that has a vagina, has the black harbor. Right? Medea alone is allowed in the rite. So when the scientists dig up the hair and they find on it, and everybody here who's been, because you all know I've been yelling about this for the last few months here on our venture in our satanic initiation. Okay, they came up with physical evidence for it. Right? Good for them. Good job, guys. Good job. Now let's keep going. And let's say, what do these formulae do? How are they used? Why were they using them? Why were they inducing? Was it a low enough level that they didn't induce? You weren't chronically walking around in a state of psychosis, right? Where the Roman doctors, that's the state where the Roman doctors are like, you the guy come out of the tavern, he's like bleeding like a sheep and irrational, right? That's the dude that is on X, and you give them this antidote, right? So we're not talking about, oh my God, this discovery is great. Everybody should love this discovery because it is showing the world that we have concrete drug use, that people cannot say any longer that drug use isn't an integral part of the development of human history. Yeah, it's an integral part of our history. It is there. And maybe I'll just propose one thing. I wanted to talk about the dipsass poisoning tonight, and I wanted to talk about the viper venoms that caused the thirst, and I wanted to talk about Jesus being so thirsty. I wanted to bring you guys back to that moment on the cross. I wanted you to get there. Because I want us to be able to get a clear picture of what the texts are representing, right? No more time, people. The bus has already left on theories and grand conclusions of idiot scholars. Now is the time for us to say, okay, what's here and what can we apply? And that's what I'd like to do, is I'd like to help bring us forward then and say, how can we really guard the information that's in these texts? Well, we can bring it into the museum and open it up and let people see it, right? And maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something there about our exposure over time. They may have been right. We may be part of the generation that would decline. There may be something about these substances that will cause you to make more connections in your brain, right? That will cause you to not have so many inflammatory problems, right? The potential here is amazing. Potential is amazing. Not to mention, we can bring back Lady Babylon. That's what we need. the girl who is half viper, right? And brings that medicine. Good news tonight. We'll end here, but good news tonight, all the way from Jeff Monmouth, who is giving us Merlin's prophecy about the coming of the Puella, the girl who has the medicine. It's a prophecy, and it is Sibylline in origin, and Merlin is pushing it. Merlin knows something that we don't. Yes. We will see you on Friday. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Derek, although I'm sure that he would come otherwise. It doesn't look like we've convinced him. I tried, people. I tried. I told him people want to see you. And, people want to see you in women's lingerie. Okay. They want to see it. Right. But he won't be coming Friday. You understand? The man has a reputation to uphold. I don't blame him. It's a good thing I don't, because I'm free to do exactly what I need to do. So I'm bringing you this information. I'm going to continue Friday with new info to fill in the picture so that we can get an understanding of what was actually going on. We're going to find that naked boy in the garden with Jesus. We're going to bring him out. We're going to show people, and we're going to change your worldview. And we're going to be uncomfortable doing it in the process, but let the wave proceed. And hail Satan.
When I say